How are we doing, guys? It's Oscar from ALTV and it's Phil as well. Phil Miles, how are things, mate?
I'm all good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Good stuff, good stuff. We are, of course, here for the nerdiest show on ALTV that you all love, our transfer talk. We're going to have a bit of another transfer talk today. And today we've got two specific subjects. Guys, if my internet does drop at all, please let me know. Please let me know. It is giving me bad signs at the minute, so hopefully it's going to be okay. If it is, I might have to drop out for a second, but just let me know, guys, if it does drop at all. So obviously we're talking about transfers today. We've got Elan Meslier. We're talking about potential understudies to Elan Meslier. We're talking about Calvin Phillips, a potential understudy to Calvin Phillips, and that is the discussion today. That we're all looking at. But just to start off with, guys, just let us know if my internet is okay here, guys. I'm getting a bit paranoid here. I'm getting a mess. I'm getting like the engine lights basically on StreamYard.
You're doing fine, mate. You're doing fine.
The StreamYard version of engine lights. I'm getting in the top left there. So if it does drop at all, please let me know. Right. Anyway, yeah, transfer talk. That is what we're focusing on today. We are focusing on this all today. Let us know if there's any players you want us to look at. But I'm just going to start with one thing. We've now got a membership scheme running on ALTV, which you'll probably be able to see now on the home page of ALTV on YouTube. To join, guys, if you do want to become a member of ALTV, whether that's the Don level, the Wilco level, the Bielsa level, the way you join is you go onto our home page, and if you look where it says the subscribe button in the top right, you'll see an option to join, and it will give you the free options of membership. So just for anyone who's asking how to join, that is how you join. But if that any problems, guys, just let us know. Let us know on the stream, and we can talk you through it anyway. But yeah, as you see the subscribe button on the homepage, you'll see an option to join as a member as well on that side as well. So make sure you head to the home. Our first ever member of ALTV. Our first ever member of ALTV is Jack Dillon. A thorough welcome to you, Jack Dillon. Anyway, that's I think you are the first member of ALTV, and yeah, you have that honour. To be fair, lovely little avatar there. Thank you very much, Jack. From everyone at ALTV, you are the first member of ALTV, and yeah, we'll see you all, guys. Anyway, so let's move on to the video. Thank you very much and yeah, I mean, let's get on with it. Anyway, let's get on with it. Are you ready to look at the goalkeeper situation first, Phil?
Absolutely. So yeah, if we want to get cracking, guys, I just want to give you all a heads up. If you want to have the same sort of access to what we're looking at, if you go on my Twitter page, my Twitter handle is on the screen here. It's @PhilMiles92. At the top of the page, I've retweeted the articles that we'll be going through, so you can see the same tables as us, and you can see all the work that we've done with regard to how we've scouted the players and how we've come to the conclusions that we're going to come to. So there's an article on there about goalkeepers and about CDMs. So we're going to start with goalkeepers, but if you want to have a look at these articles, they are both at the top of my Twitter page.
I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Michael 20 there, absolute legend that is Michael 20. Everyone knows Michael 20. If you've been around on this channel for a while, you will know about Michael 20. Top class donation there. Thank you very much, mate. Make sure you check out Michael 20's channel, by the way. Some really good Football Manager live streams as well. So check him out. But to become a member, if you have just joined us, to become a member, if you go to our homepage, on YouTube, you'll see an option to subscribe as normal, and next to that is the join option, and it'll give you the free options of membership. So get on that, guys, if you are interested at all. Totally up to you guys. But yeah, let's go into it. Anyway, let's go into the goalkeeper situation from Michael 20. It's just become a member. Michael 20, what a legend! Has just become a member as well. So quick shout out for Michael, legend, absolute legend of a man. Let's have a little look at it then. So first of all, I mean, do you want to go to this page first?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've done is
what's first of all.
Yeah, no, we'll start here. So as I don't know if anybody watched the last show, I'm hoping you all did, but if you haven't, go back and watch it. It's basically a little template as to what you're going to see over all the shows we're going to do on this subject. We've started by sort of taking a little look on sites like FBref and just from generally scouting, even by playing Football Manager, FIFA, and just having a little look at the little bits of a Marcelo Bielsa side. And for every position, I've sort of gone into detail as what I think. So for our goalkeeper, for example, you need to have distribution. There is no point in us signing somebody that isn't any good with their feet because they're just going to get murdered. So I've had a look into their pass completion, and then not only the completion, but the amount of passes lengthwise in a game per 90, and sort of measuring them against Illan Meslier, what he's performed like for Leeds in the Premier League this season. And then obviously it's a goalkeeper, so you're going to want to understand how they are performing as actually saving shots. So we've got the post-shot XG, which is, it's a collective effort, the post-shot XG. So I haven't actually rated any of these goalkeepers based on the XG alone, but how they either underperform or overperform. So, for example, if you've had a terrible game in goal and you've let in some stinkers, you're going to massively... Wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way here. You will underperform your XG if you have a stinker. If you make loads of good saves, you'll overperform your XG. So we're going to look out for goalkeepers that are overperforming their XG and also have really good passing stats, and that will sort of immediately single out someone as a really suitable signing for Leeds United.
Absolutely. Just to clarify, I just want to give a quick shout out to another new member there. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Rune, I hope I pronounced it right, or Rune. Thank you very much to Rune there, also a new member. So that's absolutely fantastic to see. Absolutely top class support, guys. Absolutely unreal. This Luke Williamson, the legend from the States, absolutely top class as well. Thank you very much to Luke Williamson. But I just want to point one thing out in terms of before we talk about the goalkeeper, in case you didn't join us at the start. This is strictly in terms of an understudy to Illan Meslier or potential competition to Illan Meslier. This is a replacement for Meslier himself. This is more a replacement for Kiko Casilla, so to speak.
Yeah,
so if Meslier is out injured or suspended or has a drop off in form, this is the idea behind it. So we're not saying that Illan Meslier is not good enough for Leeds United or anything like that. I just saw a couple of comments come in. That was all, Phil. So just what?
No, not at all. Don't get confused, guys.
To clarify that this is just to provide competition to Meslier.
The situation at Leeds United, we understand for goalkeepers, is Illan Meslier's first choice, undisputed. Kiko Casilla, obviously, there was a bit of an entertaining week with him last week and the Instagram post. And is he staying? Is he going? We do believe that Marcelo Bielsa does actually quite like him, has faith in him, and doesn't agree with the amount of stick that he gets from some of the fan base, which, that's all political, so we won't get into that. But I think a lot of fans would like to see Kiko Casilla leave, not based on anything else other than performance. And performance-wise, I also think we could get someone in to do a better job, whether that be most of the people I've looked at on this list. I would have liked them to be between the ages of 20, 23, someone young, someone that can come in and have a long-term future at Leeds United, but also we don't want to stump the progress of Illan Meslier. We also want to be able to give him someone that genuinely challenges him, because let's be honest, Kiko Casilla is going into training every day and Meslier knows he ain't getting in the team. So we do need somebody to test him. We do need somebody to push him, and someone that can perform on all these different metrics and keep pace with Meslier is ideal, really.
Absolutely, 100%. They've got to be a similar type of goalkeeper. That's the first and foremost, isn't it? And just going to shout out a quick comment from obviously our new member, Jag. Actually, he's saying that I'd like Caprill to be given a chance before the end of the season, before we sign a goalkeeper. I mean, that's an interesting point. Elijah Caprill's looked good, to be fair, from the 23s when I've seen him. He reminds me a bit of Meslier himself. I mean, what's your opinion on Caprill, just before we go into the potential options as possible Kiko options, mate? What's your opinion on Caprill?
I must admit, I can't see Elijah Caprill getting an actual game in the Premier League before the end of the season. I think it'd be very, very unlikely. Even if Meslier got injured, to be honest, I think he'd just put Kiko in. Whether that's the right thing to do or not, I think only time will tell. I've only really seen Caprill in an under-23s league, in which we're dominating that league at the moment, so he doesn't really have an awful lot to do. I think seeing him in the Premier League compared to that would be a huge step up. So I don't want to really give a judgment as of yet. I think we'll maybe next season, when our under-23s are playing in the higher tier and he's getting a bit more of a challenge, I think it would be easier to formulate an opinion of him then. But I think just purely because of his age and the lack of first-team football, it's best that we don't sort of cast any judgments as of now.
No, absolutely. That's a perfectly fair point. That, to be fair, I mean, Carl Darlow's a shout. In terms of I've been very impressed by Carl Darlow this season, but
Yeah.
I think the only thing we'd say, the reason maybe Carl Darlow hasn't been picked up on this particular research by Phil is his age to an extent and general play with his feet. I don't think he's the most natural in terms of ball playing, but in terms of shot stopping, though, he's probably up there, to be honest.
Yeah. To be honest, when it came to Premier League goalkeepers, I haven't really looked in great detail at many of the other goalkeepers in the Premier League, just because I can't see us buying one from a Premier League side. We've had trouble trying to negotiate with other Premier League sides anyway. I mean, there is obviously Robert Sanchez's presence on this list, and Brighton is that club that we have struggled to negotiate with. So Fulham, obviously, Areola is on loan there at the moment, but, Fulham are going down, possibly. Brighton might be going down, but there's no point putting anyone like a Liverpool goalkeeper or a Man United goalkeeper on here, because why are they going to come to Leeds, and why would we want them? I don't want Sergio Romero, in all honesty. I know that was a name that came up a lot last summer, but he's not playing anything for Man United. He's not playing minutes at all. So, I mean, Dean Henderson is on this list, and there are obviously little red flags dotted around as to people's age and how they maybe don't match the criteria of what we were looking for. And obviously, even with Donnarumma, just simply price tag. Donnarumma is on here as a point of reference and context. I don't believe for a second Leeds United would even bother trying to get Donnarumma because he's so expensive.
I'd just say about Henderson, I just remember this after that Sheffield United game, in the Beatles at Ellen Road. I think he'd have to win a few people over. But no, he's an option, isn't he? He's an option. But I just want to give a quick shout out.
Keeper.
He is a good keeper, to be fair. He probably should be playing football, to be fair. Actually playing football. He probably is. He's on the verge, isn't he? He's got to be on the verge. And, I mean, David Raya's getting a mention. I mean, David Raya is someone that I know a lot about, to be fair. He played for a local club, started out in the local club, Southport. I really like him. I think the only thing I say is with his feet, not the most natural with his feet. I think really good shot stopper and all the general basics of goalkeeping, he does really well. I mean, he almost went to Arsenal, didn't he? But again, he's one of those players that I don't think he'd be as natural in this kind of style of football. But let's just give a quick shout out to Robert Dunlop, who's also a new member. Thank you very much, Robert. Welcome aboard to All ECV. Thank you very much to Robert Dunlop, another new member, and just top class support, guys. That means the absolute world to us, this. And I think obviously it's a couple of mentions in terms of Donnarumma out of contracts, but let's just work our way down the list a little bit, because there's one name that really stands out to me straight away, and I'm probably going to really mess up his name there, and I apologise if I do, but it is Albon Lafont from Nantes, Fiorentina, actually. He's an interesting one, isn't he? Because he's competition for Meslier in that France team, isn't he? What have he's been mentioned for quite a long time, though, as the replacement for Meslier, for Hugo Lloris at France. So that's an interesting one, isn't it? If that's in terms of price tag, it seems a bit reasonable. That seems pretty reasonable at 11 mil.
Obviously, it's a price. It's just what the market value is at the current moment.
He probably goes for double, doesn't he?
Yeah, he'd probably go for double on absolutely every one of these players. That's kind of the way it works. But that's just what transfer market value him at this moment in time. He's been around for years, weirdly enough, even though he's only 22. I remember signing him on FIFA about 4 years ago. Everybody's heard of, everybody I imagine will have heard of him. He's got moves to bigger clubs, and then they've done basically the Chelsea thing and just kept loaning him out. And there's a few keepers on this list that have done the same, but there's a few that haven't played as much this season. But we know for a fact, because of who they are and what clubs they're at, that they're going to be good. There's a lot of potential there. And anyone, I know with the David Raya thing, the only reason that people like him aren't on this list is because it's really hard to get these kind of statistics for anyone that's playing in the Championship. So any of Europe's top 5 leagues, getting statistics like this together on a table is absolutely fine. But getting Championship stats is a lot harder, if you're not going to pay for it anyway.
No, absolutely. No, that's perfectly fair. It's perfectly fair. I've just seen a couple of comments come in about the membership. Apparently a couple of issues getting the join option on the app. I've just had a little look at that, actually, guys. We might have to get back to you on that in terms of joining via the YouTube app. I apologise for that, guys. I'm not sure why it's not appearing on there for some people. I do apologise. It is actually showing on mine, to be fair, in terms of the option to join. But apologies if that is the case. We will look into that and get back to you on that in terms of in time for tomorrow night's Monday Night Football. I apologise for that, guys, if you are trying to join. But yeah, Lafont's a very, very interesting one. I mean, obviously, Ramsdale, I'm not sure. I look at Ramsdale and I think, Ooh, I'm not. I know, obviously, in terms of statistically, he probably stands out. But I mean, he was linked last summer, Ramsdale. That's the interesting one. He was linked for quite a heavy price last summer. And I find it interesting that it felt like if we were going to get Ramsdale for the price that was being spoken about and what the price he actually went to Sheffield United for, that he would have to be number one at that kind of price tag. But it seems like in the middle of like the pre-season that they decided that they were kind of happy with Meslier kind of thing. They were going to back Meslier. I found it interesting, the kind of change of tactic there of the goalkeeper, because it's very rare for Bielsa or Orta to go from, right, we're going to watch, because I think Bielsa even went to watch Ramsdale for Bournemouth. I think he actually went to a game towards the end of last season. And yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. Could he come up again? Possibly, if Sheffield United are going to go down, could he come up again? Possibly as a second choice keeper? Not
for me. I mean, as you'll probably see if you are looking at the graph on your own phones at the same time, or whether you're just watching it on here, the way I've marked everything is out of suitability. He's actually second bottom as to who is the most appropriate for us to sign on this list. And even just taking stats out of it and watching him, I think there's a vast difference in Sheffield United this season without Dean Henderson. And Dean Henderson is on this list, and for obvious reasons, he's so much further up it. I think Ramsdale, for me, he had a good start to life at Bournemouth. They went down. He's had a good start to life at Sheffield United. They're going down. I don't think that's the kind of goalkeeper we need to be looking at. And I know that might be a sort of superficial way of looking at things, but also looking at his stats a lot closer, I don't think he matches up for what we need. And I wouldn't be going anywhere near him. That's nothing personal. For us, I don't think he's the right choice.
I mean, just working our way back down. Obviously, Anthony Raciot, I don't really know. I'll be totally honest. I'm not going to try and discuss about it because I don't know a lot about him. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't know a lot about him. But just to work down...
until doing this, to be honest. I hadn't heard much about him until this, but then his name just kept popping up as to... He's considered one of the most similar to Meslier in Europe's top 5 leagues. So I just kept looking. And post-shot XG-wise, he performs really well. So it's his shot stops that's most impressive. His passing stats aren't anywhere near what we would need them to be, and that would need to be worked on. But, he's still relatively young. He's affordable, which is always something that I know people think we are flush. But if we want to get a player like De Paul in midfield and we want to focus on getting Perro at left-back or another left back of that quality, if we are going to get a backup keeper, we can't go spending 20-30 mil on a keeper. We are going to have to get a budget keeper in.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not going to be the main signing. There's no chance of that, unless Meslier had a big offer, in the summer, because that could happen. That could happen. But I'd like to think Meslier we can keep for at least for another couple of seasons. I think he's at that age where he just needs game time and guaranteed game time. But just a quick shout out to 2 new members as well. Gamer Guy Ethan. Thank you very much, Ethan there. Absolutely top class, another member there. Thank you very much. And Cameron Hickman as well. Thank you very much, Cameron. Welcome to Ethan and Cameron to the All Leeds TV membership. Thank you very much, guys, for your support. Absolutely fantastic. And this is interesting. I've got to agree with Duncan here, our friend Duncan Hamilton. Probably better off keep sticking with Caprill, to be honest, and Ramsdale. At least he's at an age where he can improve. I think Ramsdale's kind of at an age now where he's never really going to become a top-class goalkeeper, and he kind of stands out in terms of that sense. But I suppose at 22 that might be a little bit harsh, but he's an old 22 in the sense that he's played a lot of football in that time. He's played a lot of football. It's not like he's a new starter kind of thing. Yeah, look how many games he's played this season, 25. He's not a new starter kind of in that kind of sense, but... I mean, just one name that does stand out to me, and quick shout out to A Storks as well. Thank you very much to you there. You are now a member of All Leeds TV. Welcome. I mean, Alvaro Fernandez, we're going to actually see tomorrow night when Barca play Huesca. That's going to be interesting. Going to be on the watch out for him now, to be fair. He's obviously played a lot less games than the top end of that list in terms of 14 matches. But again, in terms of the passing completion rate, it's not brilliant. But I think of obviously Huesca, I don't think going to be I've not seen a lot of them, but I don't think they're necessarily a ball-playing team. So he's going to probably be playing a lot of longer passes than what Meslier is. So I think the numbers, that's the thing with some of these numbers, I think they will be distorted a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, As much as, we're doing an entire show based on statistics, realistically, statistics only tell you half a story. If you're playing in a team that doesn't want to pass the ball out from the back, you are going to have shit passing stats. So, it's just food for thought, innit? Just having these kind of numbers around, it gives you something to go off, but you do need to go and watch these players with your own eyes to be able to gauge a real opinion of them.
No, yeah, definitely. I will have a watch out for him tomorrow night when Barca play him and see what bigger test he's coming up against Messi tomorrow night. So that might be worth a little watch, that, to be fair, because I know obviously,
anytime watching Messi is worthwhile.
Well, yeah, it's almost as good as watching Rafinha, to be fair, isn't it? But I'm just going to work the way down because Jack Glennie's just said he really likes Kerbel, Gregor Kerbel from Stuttgart. Again, not someone I've seen a lot of, but again, the raw numbers look good. I like that 81% pass completion rate.
Yeah,
He looks pretty decent. Looks pretty price-wise as well. Potentially getting for $7 million, but probably more like 10, 15.
Playing football, to be honest, because the problem that I found looking around Europe, obviously, I think it's well known about Illan Meslier at this moment in time, is playing a hell of a lot more games than anybody else his age. So finding anyone of a similar age to Meslier that's playing his kind of minutes is virtually impossible. But older, you're looking at 22, 23, and that's where you start to find people that can sort of compete and measure numbers up against him. So it was a lot easier looking older than Meslier than younger.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. Again, someone worth watching out for. But Robert Sanchez, obviously, as people will probably be reading this, he appeared pretty well. He was number one, wasn't he? He was your number one.
My list might have changed since you've read it.
You changed that?
You might need to scroll down, mate. My top five's changed, but no,
he changed it.
He was definitely measuring at number one before I added a lot more.
Yeah.
In. So yeah,
you changed that since. Okay. Still number two. Okay, but again, someone you rate highly. Again, in terms of Brighton's style of football, might be pretty well suited to us in terms of play a similar style of play. They play out in the back into Lewis Dunk, into Ben White, and then into the midfield. They do try and play the same kind of style of football to ourselves. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. I mean,
there was a question earlier just about the transfer market value. That is literally taken from Transfer Market, the website. That's what they've got in there as. I'm not saying that's exactly what I think he's worth.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, if Brighton stay up, that's going to massively distort the value, isn't it? It's going to massively distort the value. If they go down, maybe we can get them for a better value, can't we?
That's kind of the foundation of why he's not just suitability-wise, according to this, but in my opinion, he's one of the people we should definitely be looking at. And I imagine he will be on Victor Orta's list for similar reasons. If they are to get dragged into this relegation battle and go down, I know a lot of people will want us to go back in for Ben White, but realistically, we talked about this last night. The centre-backs, arguably, we are covered now. So realistically, if we're going to nick anybody from Brighton, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go after their keeper because he's done a fantastic job. He got rid of an Australian international who's had to go out on loan to Arsenal to play second fiddle there just to get any sort of minutes. He's kept them in games. He's done a lot of what Meslier's done for us. His post-shot XG, he overperforms that quite significantly. There's only a couple on the list that are better. I mean, I know he's faced a lot of shots, and we were joking about Brighton's XG making them fourth or something in the league last night, but he's kept them in games. I know he's got Lewis Dunk and Ben White obviously in front of him, but he's a fantastic keeper, and you can see they've got a really good one there. So if we could nick him off and take him.
Well, I remember because Robert Sanchez stood out to me because I remember when I obviously was reading through and you had him at number one, I thought, okay, I'll have a little more of a look at him. And Spain and England are having a fight over him, to be fair, in terms of who he's going to represent. I mean, it'd be fantastic to see England have a top class goalkeeper coming through, and that's what he seems to be. To be fair, if he's keeping Matt Ryan at the team, fair play, absolutely fair play. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Nigel Firth, another new member. Welcome, Nigel. Welcome to All Leeds TV the membership scheme. Thank you very much for your support. And thank you very much to all and to everyone. Just thank you very much to everyone. 211 of you watching us right now, 210. Someone's just dropped out there. Oh, someone else has dropped out. Anyway, right, I'll stop doing that because everyone keeps dropping out. Smash the like, guys. Smash the like and subscribe if you haven't done already. Yeah, because we're on every single day and we absolutely love doing this. And any other names you want to suggest, just let us know. We'll have a little look at them. And
by all means, guys.
In the comments, in the actual comments below, if you can comment, because on the live watch, on this actual live stream instead of the live chat, we might struggle to get all the names down. But if you can,
don't worry, I'm doing it while everyone's doing it. When everyone's typing, I'm putting it in on my phone so I can go.
He's organised. He's organised. There is Phil. If you could have never have told just from this table though, but yeah, he is organised. He is proper organised. Is our Phil Miles, to be fair.
I've got one of these for every position on the pitch, mate. It's an ever-growing database. Don't worry.
I love that. I've lost track of it. To be fair.
Jack Butland's been mentioned a couple of times, but he's not playing football. So for me to do this at the moment, I'd have to base it like I have with Andre Lunin, Geronimo Rulli and Nubel on basically their entire career and just get an average over that. But that doesn't give you a glimpse really of what they're doing now, which is why I haven't gone for anybody like that.
No, absolutely. And just to talk about, obviously, we spoke about Ben White yesterday, didn't we? To be fair, I have to agree with that now. I put a tweet out before on the official our official Twitter, and I was putting out like the defensive option, and I thought, no, let's spend money elsewhere. I 100% agree with that, Runa. I think just spend the money elsewhere. To be fair, right, Zach Steffen, interesting one, interesting shout, isn't it? To be fair,
I think it's a.
That's good to hear, though. That's slightly off topic, but that is good to hear. Hope everything goes well on that, mate, to be fair.
Zach Steffen, I've seen bits of him, obviously, for City this year when Edison's been out. And, I mean, let's be honest, it's a lot easier to look good as a goalkeeper when you play for Man City, especially in the form they were in while he was playing.
Vijvold could play in goal for City. I'm not taking anything away from Edison, but I think Vijvold could play for goal for City, and with Diaz and Stones in front of him.
Absolutely. So Zach Steffen, for me, he's young. He's got a very good job right now, and being able to offer him the kind of wages that he's probably already on. And realistically, do you expect us to buy a player like Zach Steffen and guarantee him first team football? Because that would be the kind of thing where I don't see him coming. For me, I think for somebody to join Leeds next season as a goalkeeper, if you actually end up going down to my top 5, a couple of the ones I've put in there, I've actually put people that I don't think we could sign permanently. I think we could only get them on loan. Yeah. And there's a reason that I've done that. I genuinely think players like Andre Lunin or Alexander Nubel, they're at Real Madrid, they're at Bayern Munich. They're not going to get in the first team at this moment in time, but we don't want somebody to come in and push Meslier out. We want someone to come in and test him. So I think there's more chance of you'll either get a Kiko Casilla replica where you'll get an older goalkeeper that's going to stick around for a year or two, but they're not here long term. Or you're going to get a loanee that's going to be able to come in, preferably for 2 seasons, but maybe just 1, where they come in and they genuinely lift the level of what he's got to train with. Because at the moment, Capriel, we all might think a lot of him, but not many people are thinking that Casilla's testing Meslier the way that he should be. And, if he had somebody like, Casilla came from Real Madrid. If he had Lunin from Real Madrid training with him week in, week out, and, when it comes to cup games and Bielsa wants to give him a rest and we have a solid keeper to do that, then I think a loan wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, absolutely. I agree. It's not committing. It's not overcommitting ourselves, isn't it? That's the thing with a loan. It's a very good point, to be fair. And just slightly off topic, but it's a perfectly good question, to be fair, because I'm interested myself. Have you heard anything on Bamford, Phil, since he came?
I've heard it's a dead leg.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not muscular, it's just a dead leg. So he should be fine for Fulham is what I've heard, but my hearing things isn't from Bielsa himself. So
I trust your sources, mate. I trust your sources totally. I mean, oh no, Joe Hart. We don't want Joe Hart. I mean, it's experience. I agree. I do. He's been a fantastic goalkeeper, but This Joe Hart's been mentioned a couple of times, hasn't he, to be fair, in the past.
Yeah,
but
last
it's
season,
never really been for me, that one, to be honest.
No, I think he'd command stupid amounts of money wage-wise.
There's that as well.
At the same time, like, don't get me wrong, he's played in the Europa League for Tottenham this year, and he's done a all right job when he's played in the Europa League. But I think he's got to that stage of his career now where he's happy to be a second choice, and I don't think that's what we want. I think we want someone that's going to come in and genuinely want to, I know it's a completely different position, but when we bought in Eddie Nketiah and we had Nketiah in Bamford, Nketiah wasn't happy being on that bench. And obviously that's why he ended up going back. So we don't want that situation again, but we want somebody that's going to come in, be happy for the contest, push Meslier as hard as he can, get his games in here and there. But ultimately, if he does do what Nketiah did, well, he's not our player. We don't care if he's missed out on minutes. He was brought in for the purpose of pushing the current player that we do have a long-term interest in.
No, absolutely. No, I totally agree. I think just got to look at it from that kind of sense in terms of the wages, the long-term ambition, how much does it benefit Meslier himself? There's so many different factors. I mean, goalkeepers can look good on paper. I know this is the stats shows we've said, but what we're looking at is mostly on paper kind of thing. But we are considering other factors as well. We're considering things like age. We're considering things like pass success rate in terms of suitability to the style of football. But I just want to shout out our good friends Alison and Marty Adams. Thank you very much, and welcome to the All ECV membership as well. Thank you very much, Alison and Marty Adams. They've been long-term watchers of the channel, and I appreciate your support so much. And all you guys, we appreciate all you guys very, very much. Right, there was another name mentioned as well. I mean, we mentioned
funny ones. I've seen Kepa. That's not happening.
Well, let's just sign the best goalkeeper in the world. Let's stop for messing about and just sign Jan Oblak. Let's just do it. Just get him in.
Yeah, I wish. I saw Loris Karius earlier, so that was a good one. Whoever put that one in. Loris Karius. You know, when I know it's a different show, but the player rating show that we do, my guide to what is a certain number for number one is Loris Karius.
Well, against Madrid, that Champions League final.
That's a one. If
anyone that's a naught for me, that's a naught. I don't know how you even give a one to that, to be fair.
I don't know if you're allowed to give noughts.
Oh, you are. Oh, you definitely are.
You're allowed to give noughts.
Have we ever given the noughts?
Yeah, we can give noughts.
I think Casilla might have had a naught at one point. I can't remember what game, but some point last season, I think Casilla had a naught. So we'll have to go back in through the archives there and find that, to be fair. But I'm sure we have. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. It's 100% fair. I mean, there's a lot of good suggestions here. Really like these suggestions, to be fair. I mean, Ben Foster's been mentioned. Ben Foster, I think, has done well for Watford this season. Good bit of experience. That's the thing. Age. I'm just thinking with people like Ben Foster, I'm thinking age and suitability to playing out the back and that lot. I don't know. It might sound hipster, like saying that kind of thing, but it is important. It is important. It's no good just having what I'd call a low block goalkeeper who just wants to stay in the line, smash the ball as far away from him as possible. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's not the way we kind of play. I just feel that Ben Foster's probably more towards the traditional kind of goalkeeper. I don't think he's really ever been a ball-playing goalkeeper for me. But
no, very much so. He said the same himself, actually. He did. Football Focus and all that stuff at the moment, doesn't he? He's getting towards that punditry side of his career. So he's getting on. I don't see him playing, as much as I do think he is Premier League quality, I don't think I can see him playing Premier League football again. I think he's a championship goalkeeper now, and I think his career is probably coming to an end, and I think he's setting himself up for life after football, isn't he? So
yeah, no, definitely. And we don't want him at Leeds anyway, because he'd be massive competition to us on the YouTube scene. He'd be taking all our, what's his name? Everyone that watches us would be watching Ben Foster. So we got to be careful here.
Yeah.
Got to be careful, but that is a top channel, that, by the way, the retired goalkeeper, not the retired the cycling goalkeeper, I think it's called. I just saw the one when I think it's Jamal Lowe pointed at his camera like that, started pointing at his camera when he scored past him. That was just brilliant. That was scenes. That. Let's just work our way back down the list. See who do I look at next.
I think people in the chat have asked to look at Fernando Pacheco, which I think is obviously because there's been a lot of rumours over the last few weeks. He's apparently the one we're talking to at this moment in time. I would prefer to see us go for someone younger, but if it's a case of simply swapping over and getting rid of Kiko Casilla and getting Pacheco in, then without sounding rude, I think we take bloody anybody over Kiko right now. So,
yeah.
I mean, from the difference when you go shopping in La Liga is the wages aren't going to be as low as if you go shopping in France. And unless you're going to PSG, basically everyone in France will get paid a hell of a lot less than anybody, even Alaves. They pay quite highly in Spain. It's hard to pay them the kind of money that we could really afford. So, although if you're offloading Casilla, he's on a pretty sturdy wage, I suppose, anyway, isn't he? So who knows?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we've got to consider as well. You know, we've got a guy who's high on the wage bill. Yeah. I mean, do you think there's any potential to swap at all, or do you think it's just be really cheeky?
No. I think
it's like trying to swap FIFA 21 for FIFA 10, isn't it? To be fair, it's like saying it doesn't work on the Xbox, it doesn't work on the Xbox One, it doesn't work on PS5, but it will work on PS2. So we'll do the swap with you. That's what it's kind of like saying, isn't it? If we're swapping Casilla for another goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think any chance of, I mean, even getting someone to buy him off us, I really think we're going to struggle.
It's ambitious, isn't it?
I think it's going to be one of them where we'll end up paying out the end of his contract and he just leaves for free. Although by the sound of it, Bielsa's kind of against that. But I would do it. I think it needs to be done.
32,000 British pounds.
I thought it was 35, but
just 35. 32 is bad enough. 32 is bad enough, but £32,000. I mean, get Lonnie
in the Championship, wasn't he? But that's obviously gone up.
Get Lonnie's back.
He's somewhere. He was at Liverpool.
Last time I saw him. He's holding the Champions League trophy. Last time I saw him.
I'm sure they released him. He's gone somewhere else now. Is it Cardiff again or something?
Someone in the comments where I've just seen what Max A tried to do there. Max A, I'm too switched on today, mate, for you to get me there. I need too switched on there to get me today. He's trying to get me to read like rude words now, to be fair, is Max A. But yeah, I think, in terms of Kiko does need to go. I think we've all accepted that. And maybe we're being ambitious when we're talking about goalkeepers, but we're going off the basis that Kiko will hopefully move on for his good, for our good, just so we can all move on, because it's past it now. It is past it. We need to move on from that situation. 40 grand a week, that's even worse. It gets worse. Yeah.
He's on a lot of money. For someone that doesn't play, he's on a hell of a lot of money. Yeah. And it's not the money. It's not the performances for me. The performances are bad enough alone, but it's the fact that Meslier is a fantastic young goalkeeper with now that record to his name as well. And I don't feel like he's being tested. He's not being pushed. I don't feel like he fears for his place in the team. I don't want him to feel like if he drops a clanger, he's not going to be bombed out. But at this moment in time, when he does have a shit game, like he had a shit game against Arsenal for the first hour, we know that. But there was still no way that anybody in their right mind would put Kiko back in, because Kiko is 10 times worse. So we do need to have someone in there that is at least credible. And I don't find Kiko being credible at this moment as a goalkeeper.
No, absolutely not. And another name that stands out to me is probably David Ospina, to be fair. Ospina, I mean, he's an interesting one. Obviously, he was at Arsenal for a bit. Colombian international. Very good goalkeeper, to be fair. Solid pass success rate, and just generally solid stats. Quite cheap, good experience. That might be a shout. That might be a shout. In terms of Napoli, he's not first choice at Napoli as far as I'm aware. I don't think he's not first choice. So that might be a possibility if he wants to come back to England. I'd be perfectly happy with that. And there's better goalkeepers on that list. I mean, most of the goalkeepers are better than Ospina, but in terms of cost, experience, being able to play out the back, I think he ticks a lot of the boxes for me.
Yeah, and another goalkeeper in a similar position is Marvin Hitz at Dortmund. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't play every game in the league, but I don't know if you saw the highlights of the Champions League game the other night with obviously Haaland was on fire. But, Marvin Hitz made a good couple of saves, and, he ticks a lot of the boxes.
Great hair as well.
he only just underperforms his post-shot XG, but he's playing for a team like Dortmund, where if you're scoring against Dortmund, you ain't getting a tap in. You're gonna have to work for it. So, the goals that he conceded the other night in the Champions League, they were bloody good finishes.
Yeah, they were.
It's kind of hard to pick on someone for conceding those kind of goals, but distribution-wise, like his pass completion ratio is a bit better than Meslier's, but he's also passing the ball over a collective amount in 90 minutes. He's passing the ball further than Meslier as well, which is to be able to do both. There's only him and one other goalkeeper on the list, but that's Angelo Da Costa Jr., who's 37. So I think Marvin Hitz would be a really good choice if that's the kind of like for like we're going with. Kassir, an older statesman that's going to come in, be happy to play second fiddle, but also push him more. But I'd like to see us not spend as much, but still ideally go for someone younger who's got more of a long-term future with us.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, Robbo's getting a mention, but Robbo's retired now, I think, isn't he, Paul Robinson? I think pretty sure he's retired now.
Yeah, he was at Burnley before he retired.
He was very unlucky, actually, with injuries. Very, very unlucky. I'm not sure about Silvestri. Silvestri, that's shit sail for me. I know he's doing well. He is doing well.
It came up on like quite a few different times as a suggestion. I was just like, I'm not going back there. He smoked more than I did when he played for Leeds, and I was smoking 20 a day at the time.
I just remember the lipstick on the back thing and the sticks and all that lot. Yeah, no, he just wasn't great for us when he was here. He made some good. He was a decent shot stopper, but he just was awful.
He's doing well for himself now. I mean, the first time I bumped into him again on FIFA, and he was rated like. I think he's rated like high 70s on FIFA now. Yeah. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, is it the same person?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think he even, there's a very true point this off Joe. I think he did make the Italy squad at one point. And there's a couple. Do you remember Viviani as well, the centre mid who we were linked with? And no one knew who he was. And out of all the players we didn't sign him. And then he's just gone on completely, just be absolutely brilliant everywhere he's been. So that was a gutting one. That was a gutting one as well, to be fair. But let's come to a bit of a conclusion on the goalkeepers then. Obviously, Bravo gets a mention, who's of course worked with Bielsa. That's an interesting one in that kind of sense. I mean, there'd be this natural thing about Bravo in terms of when he was at City, it didn't work out for him. In that sense. But everywhere else he's been genuinely a world-class goalkeeper. Everywhere else he's been, he's had a superb career, to be fair to him.
It's a difficult one just because obviously the thing I always say about going back to Joe Hart, and the same applies here for Claudio Bravo, which is why I'm bringing it up, is when Guardiola came into Manchester City, obviously he bombed out Joe Hart straight away and was quite public in saying he's not good enough with his feet. He brought in Claudio Bravo and then kind of ended up saying the same thing about Bravo, but he can't save goals.
His hands. He wasn't good enough with his hands.
So we had Joe Hart not good with his feet and Claudio Bravo not good with his hands. And I'm just thinking, I know Pep and Bielsa aren't the same person and they do believe similar but different things. But I'm sorry, if you're not good enough for Guardiola, then I don't think you're good enough for Bielsa either. And I can't see Marcelo Bielsa taking a second look at either of them for that reason. I know we're not Man City and I know we are where we are and they are where they are, but I just don't think they're for us.
Okay, fair enough. Well, do you want to, if I just scroll down to our top five then on this, just to reach a conclusion on our goalkeeper situation. So let's just move our way down. Okay, so speak us through it.
On the right-hand side, we've got from the table, just the people that tick the most boxes and are apparently the most suitable. We've got a good mixture there of the older statesmen that are matching up for pretty much everything in Da Costa and Marvin Hitz. And, I think Hitz more than Da Costa would be all right for us. But, Da Costa's 37, so I wouldn't like to see us go for someone that old. But then, obviously, you've got the likes of Andre Lunin, who really does interest me. And obviously, I've thrown Alexander Nubel in there as well. I spoke about them earlier. They're both at Real Madrid and Bayern Munich at the moment. Both have fantastic futures ahead of them. Lunin's quite possibly going to be the replacement for Courtois long term. Nubel's meant to be the new Manuel Neuer, although I think Illan Meslier is the new Manuel Neuer. Robert Sanchez and Alvaro Fernandez for me. I don't think you can get away from like the amount of boxes they tick, just their ages. I mean, I know the price isn't exactly the exact price, but I reckon we could get both quite cheap. You know, Huesca are going down. It's not like Brighton where they might stay up. Huesca are down, mate. They're like Sheffield United, basically. So I think even if they were to stay up, we could get him pretty cheap, but they are down now pretty much already. So I think either of them two would be a steal. But if you're going to bring someone in permanently, then realistically, obviously, if it can be someone younger, I'd prefer it to be someone younger. We want something long term, and we want someone to push Meslier. But if it is going to be someone like Lunin or Nubel, get them in on loan and just see if we can keep it. Like, you can do 2-year loans. If we got them, well, with Harrison, you can do 3-year loans. Yeah. So,
I reckon we'll get him on loan next season as well, to be fair.
Yeah, we don't need to buy him. Just keep doing this all our lives. But no, if we can get these kind of players in on loan, you know, we saw it with Nketiah. Bielsa doesn't give a shit about anybody else's club. I'm sorry, I know he's coming back to your club, but it's not my job to make sure he's good for you. It's my job to make sure he pushes my players. And if he can help get Meslier to that next level, then I think these two, based on, obviously, because they've not played that much football this season, it has been judging their stats based off their entire careers. So it's been harder to get a gauge of quality-wise what they are. But the amount of articles you read on the two of them that are just bigging them up to high heaven, saying that they're going to be the next big thing, I think just having them around our club would be fantastic. And obviously Larsson, at the same time, I've got him in my top 4. He's currently playing for Brest. We're already apparently doing a bit of business with them anyway. Let's just take the entire team.
Just raid them.
Yes. They don't need players. They'll find more.
Like, they might hate us as much as Ren do, to be fair. I think Ren, they absolutely can't stand us. There's proper rivalry there with Ren, to be fair. Blimey, if we ever play them in the when we get in the Champions League, that'll be a battle, won't it, to be fair? Right. Great question there. That's Michael 20. I think we should both answer. I think we should definitely both answer this. And Dan knows what's happening here. Dan knows what's going on. Dan knows I've got the Stella open. Dan knows the score. I've got the Stella.
Not me on
open.
the Debs tonight.
But yeah, I mean, how many players do you reckon then, mate?
I think it's difficult, and I think it depends on how you split the money. I would say De Paul and left back, if that is Perot, I think they're the two that are most important. So after that, I think you have to gauge what we spend elsewhere on what you spend on those two. And if we've still got money left for 3 more players, I think ideally I'd like to see 4 or 5 through the door. I think we do need a goalkeeper. Ideally, if we can get Kiko out, I think I'd like to replace him. He would be my 4th priority, but my 3rd priority is obviously what we're going to go on to next, and that's the CDM. I think we desperately need somebody that's going to cover adequately for Calvin, because it's just such a hard job to do, and it's no discredit to the players that have done it this season, but it's a very catered role, and there's only a very select few that could play it. So I think those are the 4 things we need the most. And then possibly another centre mid for depth, or if you didn't want another centre mid, maybe go as a backup striker for Patrick Bamford.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I agree with that, actually. I agree. I think about 4, not including Harrison. Harrison would probably make it 5, I'd agree. Goalkeeper, CDM, left back, and centre mid who can play kind of in the 10 role, or plays an 8 or an 8.5, whatever hipster way we're going to try and play that. But
they do like their wingers though between them, though, don't they? Bielsa and Orta, they love a good winger. Yeah,
no, they do. It's interesting. We will go back for one, but for me personally, I wouldn't be surprised if we do, to be fair, but I wouldn't. I think we're okay on wingers.
I think we've wished about Costa as well, you know. I think there are conversations going on at board level as to whether Costa was the right thing to do at 16 million quid. And I think when you look at Rafinha being 17 million quid, that makes the question even more pertinent as to whether we've wasted 16 mil. He's been a lot better the last few weeks, but if they could get someone to pay us similar to what we paid for Costa, I think they'd do it, you know. I think
probably.
If someone offered us 15 million quid for Costa, I think they'd take it and go and find someone else with that 15 million quid. It wouldn't surprise me.
It's a bit like the Roof situation or Janssen in terms of probably didn't active, maybe Jansen's a bit different, but Ruth, I don't think we acted Ruth. I just think the offer came in from Anderlecht, and we just took it. We just took it.
Yeah,
He was good enough for us, but we just took it because. Sorry, mate, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. You keep dropping out a little bit, but we'll keep going.
Never mind. But yeah, I mean, let's go on to CDMs.
Yeah.
I mean, what I think we should do is, I mean, I'm definitely going to watch the Barcelona game tomorrow night. I'm going to report back to you on Alvaro Fernandez. I'm going to report back to you on the next bit. On the next show we do, I'm going to report back to you and just give my analysis on him, and I think we can have a bit more
tomorrow. Now
that's it. We're going to follow it up. So all the pressure's on him now, Phil. All the pressure's on him now. For the Spanish Sheffield United, as we're calling them, Huesca. Yeah, and as we already said, as I said before, in terms of his passing out the back, okay, the numbers might be a bit less, but he's playing for a team that's a bit more direct compared to the other Spanish teams. His numbers are always going to be a little bit lower because he's playing more long balls up to the centre forwards, trying to win flick-ons. There's always going to be a less success rate from them. But guys, keep smashing that like button. As Alison and Marty Adams say, it does massively help us. And subscribe to that channel if you haven't done already, because we're going to move on to our CDM situation. So I'm just going to take that off 1 second. I'm just going to get myself organised. So just to have a quick chat about CDM.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know Calvin, undisputed, is good enough for this level. I personally think he's good enough to start games for England at the Euros. I personally think he's good enough to play for the very best teams in this league, potentially. Maybe not so much City, Liverpool, but from below that, it could be. So that's a slight worry in terms of if anyone is looking at Calvin Phillips. But we've got to acknowledge the fact that he dives into tackles. He can get the odd suspension.
Yeah.
And through diving into tackles, he does pick up the odd impact injury. Nothing too major. He is a warrior. He does tend to occasionally miss games, but not long periods of time. But when we do have Calvin missing, we see Pascal Strick. I mean, he's an interesting one, isn't he, Strick? I think defensively, he does the defensive side of that role very, very well, which all stats aren't we. We're massive fans of all stats, aren't we? They have rightly said he does a fine job defensively. I just think on the ball, he doesn't seem as natural as Calvin. I think that's a fair thing to say. I mean, what's your feeling? When you're looking at a CDM, as kind of backup for Calvin Phillips, what are the main things you were looking for, Phil?
So criteria-wise, I've been looking for someone that obviously you're not going to come in and be a first choice. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
Calvin. No, it's not. Busquets can come in; he's not first choice.
Exactly. So I think ideally, I'd like someone younger than Calvin Phillips, who is a long-term successor. I've gone for people ideally between the ages of 21, 25, playing regular senior football in any of Europe's top 5 leagues. And obviously, stats-wise, we've looked at 4 specific things that I think dictates what Calvin does in his position and the things that he's best at. And we've measured against those, which are his pass percentage and progression in terms of how much his passing progresses our team up the pitch per 90 minutes. And then obviously defensive side, a lot of people in the chat are saying it themselves. You want to look at the way he presses and collective tackles and interceptions per game, because Calvin's one of the highest in Europe for that. So there's not many people that are above him, especially in terms of tackles and interceptions for the CDM position. So anyone that's above him on those is obviously someone that we need to be looking at. Price, obviously, again, is going to play a big part. And like we were talking about goalkeepers, I do think that with the CDM, you can't get away with spending pennies. You're going to have to go big to get us a good CDM.
Yeah.
And
it's a specialist position, isn't it? Now the CDM has changed over the years. I think since you have the likes of Busquets, Xabi Alonso, people like that, the whole perception of a CDM has changed. I mean, back in the days of David Batty, they were seen as like the least sexy players on the pitch because they do the hard work in midfield. But the CDM now,
role.
Yeah, this Makelele was never seen as a particularly great player to watch. You've seen him more midfield destroyer, a bit like Kante. But now that you see the CDM, they are the most important part of the build-up play. They are now the most important part of the build-up play. And that the crucial thing is, they've got to be comfortable on the ball. They've got to be able to play a high volume of passes, high success rates. I think that's got to be very, very key as well, hasn't it, Phil?
Very much so. I think I was waxing lyrical about Calvin last night. I thought he was my man of the match for the Chelsea game.
Wasn't he?
I just thought the way that his presence transforms the confidence of the players in front and behind him. It's not a case of we need to bollock Pascal Struijk for the way he's played when he's played in that position. It's just simply he's being compared to someone who that
Yeah.
role is perfect for. Bielsa's come in, and even before Bielsa got here, he singled out Calvin Phillips to doing that job. He had the plan in mind of what he wanted Calvin to do, and I just think Calvin's absolutely correct, and he's the right person to do that job. It's so good for him, and he's so perfect for it.
No, absolutely, 100%. I mean, I've just seen a name pop up there who I'm a massive fan of. Massive fan of. I don't think he's actually in. He's in contention on our CDM list. I don't think he is anyway.
By any chance?
It's not Mark Rocker. It's not Mark Rocker, but I do really like Mark Rocker. But I personally see Mark Rocker as more of a number 8, to be honest, from what I've seen of him at Espanyol. I think he's more of a he's more of a Thiago to me.
I don't think they could get him. I think he's beyond us, to be honest, which is sad. At the moment, I think we'll get there, but at this moment in time, I think it's a hard one to do that.
Well, he's going right to the top, I think, Mark Rocker. There's no doubt about that. I think he's very well placed at Bayern there to do well. But thank you very much to Stephen Rhode Island, very big supporter of the channel as well. Hey, Phil, I think I heard you say a while back that we finish mid-table, we get a few 100 million plus from the league. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the broadcasting deal that's between Sky Sports, BT Sports and Amazon Prime, basically for finishing bottom of the Premier League, you get £99 million. It's the way that deal split. So every club gets £99 million just for staying in the league. And then obviously, if you were to finish bottom, you get a certain amount of prize money, but it goes up £2 million for every place that you finish. So, for example, if Leeds were to finish the season, are we 11th or 12th now? I can't remember anymore.
I don't know. Actually, I genuinely don't know. I've genuinely stopped looking now because I'm comfortably safe.
Above us, so I think
12, aren't we?
So that would be 116 million quid in prize money, basically, just for turning up. So you get your 99 million quid for finishing basically bottom, and then an extra £2 for every position. So we'd be on about 115, 117 million or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not including the sponsorships. I know there has been no ticket sales, but anything like that, that's just simply for taking part in the competition.
Totally. I mean, interesting suggestion of Bazuma, but it depends what you see Bazuma as. Do you see him as a number 8? Do you see him as a CDM? Yeah. I'm a massive fan of his, to be fair. I see him probably more number 8 as well, to be fair. Yeah.
Bissouma Anguissa from Fulham, again, another good name that's been mentioned a few times. I think that'll be on a later show when we do the actual where Stuart Dallas is playing now, basically, or where Matthias Klick plays. It would be that position for me.
They're more natural, aren't they? They're more natural. Let's just go through the list. Is anyone you want to start on there, Phil, from the list?
I'm going to try and avoid the ones that we're going to go in big detail on. We can always start with just by looking at Samasek, who is someone that I really like. He ticks quite a lot of the boxes. The only one is he doesn't progress the ball quite as far as Calvin, but that's, again, something that's really difficult to do. There's not many players on that list.
I mean, look at Calvin's numbers compared to everyone else on there.
Yeah.
It's mad. It's mad when you look at it, you're thinking, wow, this is some job. This is some job.
There's nobody on the list that outperforms in every category.
No, absolutely not. He pretty much outperforms everyone, other than maybe pass completion compared to Dumbaya. I mean, he's just so good, isn't he? I just highlight the first thing you look at it when you see that table, you're thinking, how good is Calvin Phillips, man?
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. And obviously, I think if anyone's going to try and nick him off us, in the Championship, Villa were offering us like 30 mil for him, weren't they? So imagine what someone would try and pay for him now.
No, exactly.
50, surely.
I think more. I think for his age as well, the fact he's 25, I'm thinking, I honestly wouldn't sell Calvin Phillips for anything less than 60. Genuinely wouldn't sell him for anything less than 60.
I'd like to see. I mean, I know I've said I want to see Leeds copy the Leicester model and sell where we need to sell and go and get better. I think Calvin Phillips, just because maybe it's the Leeds boy thing, I'd really like to see us continue to dig our heels in and refuse to do business over him, because it's the same thing with Jack Grealish at Villa. Villa don't need to sell. We don't need to sell anymore, and we've got a player, unfortunately, the same as Villa, in that why would they want to leave? They're playing and representing their club in the Premier League and with a realistic chance of going further in the competition now. Like, we could possibly, both us and Villa, be fighting for a Europa League spot next season. Who knows?
No,
So
exactly.
players want to stay.
Yeah, totally. They like they're the franchise players, aren't they? I mean, to just sound like NFL here, but they're the franchise players. In terms of Calvin is our franchise player. He's a Leeds lad. All the philosophy is built around Calvin in terms of how we build up play. He is the franchise player of the team. So he's the one. I think Rafinha. He is probably the last player. And I'm going to include Rafinha. I'm going to include Rodrigo. I'm going to include Meslier. I'm going to include Robin Koch. I'm going to include anyone who might potentially leave in the next couple of years. Llorente, Schuich, etc., etc. Anyone.
And obviously, we've got a history over I know it's been out of necessity, but over the last 16 years when we weren't in the Premier League, we've had to see players like Lewis Cook. We've had to see him go. We've had to see Johnny Howson. We've had to see Charlie Taylor. Products of this wonderful academy that we've always had, and they've been cherry-picked for years. And it's nice to finally see someone... Realistically, if you go back to when we were in the Premier League and James Milner came through, if we didn't go down, it would have been fascinating to see how James Milner would have progressed in a Leeds shirt. And it's a shame that was taken from us. So if we can keep Calvin Phillips and see what one of our own could do and do it for us, that's what all of us want to see.
No, exactly that. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Stephen Rodile. Steve, you are now a member of the channel, and welcome to all our new members as well. Thank you very much for your fantastic support, guys, on this new journey for us. Anyway, so let's just go through the list. Then, obviously, I've just seen Gini Wijnaldum mentioned there. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, Dan. It's going to Barca, maybe. Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to go to another top European club, I think, before, because he's still got a lot to give, Gini Wijnaldum. I think someone like James Milner is probably more realistic than Wijnaldum for me at this stage. I think he's still got a lot to give any top team, really. So someone else as well, Rodrigo Bentancur as well. That's probably more on the unrealistic side of things, but superb player.
Every box, man.
Yeah, it does.
I imagine people have watched him just even on Champions League highlights. That's where I've seen most of him. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing for Juventus at that age and you're playing the amount of games that he's playing, you're going to be in that team because you deserve it. So yeah, he's a fantastic little player. He's better than Calvin when it comes to passing, progression, and tackles and interceptions as well. Like all three of those, that's pretty impressive. And he's not that far behind on his pressing percentage as well. So he's the most suitable choice on this list, but because of his price, obviously that would be why I haven't included him in the 5 that I would go for, just based on the fact we can't afford him and we have other priorities as well that we need to deal with.
No, totally. I mean, Tonali's kind of in the same kind of bracket for me as Bentancur. I mean, what a player he is. He's possibly he's more of a regista for me than a kind of like out and out holding midfielder from what I've seen. He's more of a Pirlo type than a Calvin type. So he might even be a little bit lightweight in terms of specifically playing for us, but what player he's going to be as well. But I don't think that's one that we can explore at this stage in terms of purely cost. I mean, he's probably going to go for, I know it's obviously 28.8 mil in terms of value, but I can't see him going for anything less than 50 for Milan.
Yeah, he'll go for a big amount of money eventually, but I wouldn't want him, as daft as that sounds. I know. I
know what you mean.
I think even if you just look at the numbers that are on the screen in front of you, I'm not going just off numbers. I don't do that. I do watch the players and see what I think of them in the flesh. And like you said, the role that he plays, he's fantastic at it, but it's not the same role that we need filling. So I think it'd be the wrong move to go for someone that doesn't play like we play.
No, totally. But Carlos Soler as well is interesting. I also want to see a little bit, because I like the Spanish football, as everyone will know. He's been around for quite a long time now, Soler. I can't believe he's only 24. I'll be honest, I can't believe he's only 24. That is absolutely mad. That is absolutely mad. He's the same age as me. That is crazy. I thought he was a couple of years older than me. But anyway, interesting one, isn't it, Soler? I mean, his pass completion is a little bit on the low side, but Valencia do tend to be a bit more direct, so that probably does play a part. But he's an interesting one. I don't think he's cost that much, though, 31.5 mil, because Valencia, in financial disarray,
that. A free for all, innit? You can get anyone you want. That's why we were going mad about Jose Gaia on the left back.
Yeah, exactly. Every single one we do, there's going to be a Valencia player mentioned at some point. I can guarantee you that.
quite possibly. Maybe I've got like a weakness of throwing him in as well.
No.
There's a few players on there that obviously I've seen in the chat. People were talking about Eric Pulgar. That's a name that's been mentioned on like Leeds Live if you read their articles for the last 6 months, and it's a name that pops up here and now on Twitter. The reason that name pops up so much is because you go on FB Ref, which is where I've got a lot of my stats from, and you go on the top 5 most comparable players to Calvin Phillips. He always pops up as number 1. But for me, I think I would prefer to see someone younger for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. I don't doubt that he'd come in and do a great job, but I just don't think that players of that age, when you've got Pulgar, you've got Wataru Endo, Gaston Brugman, and as much as they're all fantastic players, Milan Badel, I think it's a case of they are obviously playing first team football quite regularly for their teams. And are they going to want to come to Leeds and play second fiddle to Calvin? I'm not sure they would.
No, they know that's the case. They know that's the case. But one name that really interests me there is Boubakary Soumaré. Again, he's being mentioned. He is really the hipsters kind of big, like what football hipsters as I call them, because I've got a lot of respect for the analytics community. He is picking up a lot of attention, Soumaré, to be fair. And I look at him, and it sounds mad.
He's a beast.
I would have to find a way of getting him and Calvin in the same team. I wouldn't even be looking at. I would have to train. If we got someone like that, I would change to a 4-2-3-1 and just play them together. I really would. I do like this guy. I really do. I mean, what's your thoughts on him?
He's my first choice. I don't want to give anyone any spoilers, but like even if he would have come out on this list as 10th, 20th, whatever, I probably still would have given him.
Look at the numbers, though. Look at the numbers he's producing.
By the looks of his numbers, apparently he's better on the ball than he is pressing and tackling. But when I watch him, I think he's a monster, mate. I don't want to throw out comparisons, but I was watching, I think I tweeted it a few days ago, a video of Patrick Vieira. And while he's not as silky and sexy as Vieira was, but he's got that presence of power, and he's just so big and scary looking. Like, you wouldn't want him charging at you.
No, not at all.
Like an absolute beast. So
he's a bit of a Thomas Partey for me in terms of probably the most comparable. It's just
similar.
He's only going to get better with age, I think. I think he's probably nowhere near his peak now at 22. As he gets that, maybe that big move, I just think he's going to absolutely explode and just become just a top holding midfielder.
Yeah, this is why, to be honest, I've been saying for this position, I don't think you can go with someone cheaper. I think you do have to blow a bit of money and get someone decent. And he's not going to come cheap. You're looking at least.
I'm dreaming, Scott Lightning. I'm dreaming. I'm sorry to all over midfielders, but oh my word! Imagine.
I just can't see Bielsa playing a double pivot though, because it's not him. It's not what he does.
No, that's true.
I think if he was asking Soumaré to maybe play a bit further up in that position that Dallas is occupying now, then maybe. And I could see Soumaré more than Calvin being able to fulfill that role really well. But I know what you mean. In a different side with, like, for example, Chelsea's side yesterday, you put Soumaré next to Kante. That'd be exciting too.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it'll be interesting. The name's been mentioned so much, which is obviously getting us all excited. But let's move a little bit further down the list. Lucas Leiva.
Yeah, I was surprised by this.
Obviously, someone who will know a lot about for Liverpool. As we all know, he's an interesting one from an experience point of view. Obviously, I've always saw him as a really tidy player kind of thing. Just not necessarily outstanding, but just really tidy.
Yeah, and I think obviously his age and experience probably feeds a lot into the numbers when it comes to his passing. He's a composed head. He can pass the ball really well. He progresses the ball quite a lot, and he's played a big role at Lazio, whereas I kind of thought he was just going there to wind down on his career, I'll be honest. But, he's done well. They're a good team. They've been in the Champions League. They're doing all right in Serie A. They're not doing terrible.
He didn't do so well in that game against Bayern Munich, though, did he, to be fair? That was a game too far, I think, to be fair, when he had Leroy Sané running at him.
I think it's when you get to 34 and you've still got Leroy Sané pegging it at you, I think that's probably why he went to Syria in the first place. But no, there's a few players on that list that are quite similar age. You know, Roque Messer over 30, Milan Badelli over 30, Thomas Mancani over 30, and I think because of their ages, it's a bit like, you know, we all used to associate Ryan Giggs with being a really pacey left winger, but then towards the back end of his career, he dropped further into a CDM position, I kind of thought, or a deep lying central midfielder just to play the ball. And, you know, Rooney did the same. So
Pablo kind of did the same to an extent.
Yeah. But another name on this list that I'm really excited by, and I sign him every time. Even I've got a career on FIFA at the moment with Barcelona. I've signed him for Barcelona. Tyler Adams. I think he's fantastic and really exciting. Leipzig are a fantastic team to watch at the best of times, but he looks really good.
He's the heartbeat of it, isn't he, Tyler Adams? It all goes. He can play right back as well, Tyler Adams. So he is versatile. He's got that about him too. And,
we love a bit of versatility at Leeds United.
Yeah. And the other crazy thing to mention, it's not really a factor we look at too much on commercially as well. The fact he's American, that is going to bring in a lot of the old dough. If the fact he's American as well, there's going to be a lot of interest then in Leeds United, because I know obviously Pulisic, Weston McKennie are probably like the poster boys of the next great,
Weston
hopefully
McKennie
for America.
My centre mid one that we're...
Yeah, he is. Spotted him in there. But,
I didn't realise he's not permanently at Juventus, you know. He actually plays for Schalke.
Isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Schalke player, so
he's planned it. You see, that's the thing. He knows that Leeds are going to come calling. But yeah, no, I think obviously Tyler Adams, the fact that he's going to be part of this next wave of American talents and possibly one of the big names of it. Yeah. I think he'd be interesting commercially in terms of coming to the club, and versatility would be quite nice. So, is it realistic in terms of his status at Leipzig? I just think the Bundesliga, you've seen a lot of players moving on from the Bundesliga into the Premier League. It might be very, very ambitious, but I can see it more than Bentancur and a couple of other names you've mentioned.
Yeah, like I said, we're not going to be able to fill this position cheaply, so you are going to have to throw money at it. I reckon getting in Tyler Adams will cost you a similar amount to get in Samare, but either would be a fantastic choice. I mean, Sander Berger's underneath him simply because we got a lot of people asking on the last show. And my opinion on the show when you asked me at the time was that I didn't think he was suitable for us, and I think the table itself and the stats kind of agree with that. But I can see why people would ask for him. As for Koch and Llorente, as far as I'm concerned, both of them could actually play that position. But, you know, we've seen with Strike already this season, it isn't quite the same as...
Koch I think definitely could, for me.
I've seen Koch play CDM for Freiburg, but playing in a CDM position for Freiburg or the German national team, it isn't the same role.
No, there's that.
So I don't know. I do think when somebody is that strong in their own natural position, I prefer to see. Yes, I understand Bielsa's thing for versatility, but Stuart Dallas aside, Luke Ayling I want at right back, Pascal Struijk I want at left centre back, and I don't really want people getting mingled around in positions they shouldn't necessarily be playing in, other than Dallas, who seems to do everything seamlessly.
No, totally. But I the reason I say Koch is that I remember when I first spotted him, because I like to brag, I do like to brag, but when Ben White wasn't going to re-sign, I did mention Robin Koch a couple of times. People were saying, only because of his name and all this lot, but I remember seeing him play when football restarted, because it was just the Bundesliga. I was watching pretty much a lot of the games, kind of thing, and because it was the only football that was on. And I remember seeing him play up against Timo Werner, who was kind of playing left wing, and he was like a man marking him. He just marks him out of the game, kind of thing. And I thought he really stands out. And then the fact he's playing for the national team, he's big, strong, and he looks really comfortable. I know, of course, in this team, you might ask the question, technically, has Robin Koch stood out in terms of ball playing at centre-back, where it's easier? You've got a bit more time and space. That's perfectly fair. I don't think he stands out in that respect on the ball, like
I think if you combine him and Llorente, the things that they both do well together is Calvin.
That's exactly it. Exactly that. No, totally. That's exactly that for me.
So I'm just going back through the comments just to see if there's any other names that we haven't really spoken about, and if there's anyone wants us to talk about.
I mean, no one Kenneth's getting a mention in terms of from the 23s. I mean, again, I remember seeing him play against Guiseley when he came on. He was just massive. He was only 17 at the time. He was bigger than everyone else on the pitch and kind of thing. And he was absolutely superb that day. I know, of course, it's a friendly. It's against Guiseley, but he stood out and I thought he's going to have a big future ahead of him. But I've not seen him play a lot for the 23s. I mean, have you seen enough of Noah Kenneth to have an opinion on that at all? Was it too early?
No, not really, to be honest. He was with the squad, though, yesterday, wasn't he? From what I heard, he was with the squad, and Bielsa seems to think quite a lot of him. So an easy way for any of us to gauge our opinion on our players that aren't playing in our first team at this moment in time is to see what Bielsa thinks of them. And the fact that he's put him in that first team picture and letting him train with the squad says a lot. But, you know, we did see last summer, I thought a lot of Hugo Diaz, who was captain in the under-23s, and then obviously just got released. So,
yeah,
I think, as daft as it might sound, reserve judgment until after the summer and see if he's still here then and seeing if he's still getting in the first team picture at that point.
No, exactly. I could not agree more. To be fair, mate. I could not agree more. Well, let's just go to a conclusion on this in terms of your top 5, if that's okay, mate. Unless there's anything else you want to add on this.
No, so there was 3 other players that obviously are now in the top 5 that we haven't discussed, which is Papa Gay, and he plays for Marseille. He's quite young, similar age to Idrissa Doumbia and Boubakary Samare, who's obviously my first choice. Ticks a lot of the boxes pressing wise and tackling wise, but passing wise wasn't quite up to the Calvin standard, but who does tick all those boxes. But there's Papa Gay, Samaseku and Djibril Sow, who are both playing, I think, in Bundesliga, and I imagine you'll watch a bit of them too. But Samaseku, I quite like to buy regularly on FIFA. I know FIFA's not something to refer back to as your proof, but it's just someone I go for.
Kiko Casilla is rated 81, isn't he, on FIFA 21 or something mad like that?
81? No.
Something mad like that. Or maybe that was last season. He was rated something absolutely crazy. Crazily high.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. No.
It was something mad like that, honestly.
But no, the players that are more suitable do seem to be the ones that we were talking about earlier that are a bit older, like your Lucas Lavers and your Wataru Endo, and then obviously Bentancur, that's just so astronomically out of our price bracket. But Samare for me is undisputed number 1. He's the one I want. After Samare, I'd happily take any of the following 4, but I really do like the look of Tyler Adams. And like you said, the commercial benefit of having a player like that as well would be fantastic, especially with the 49ers there as well. But yeah, for me, Samare is number 1.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'd have to totally agree. I think in terms of all-round... Soumaré is the only one on that list, other than Bentancur, who I could genuinely say, I genuinely have a debate. If you brought him in and we were only playing a single pivot, there would be a genuine debate whether you play him or Calvin. He's the only one who could actually take Calvin out of the team. From what I've seen of him, that he's the only one at that list.
That is what we want. We want...
No, exactly. Really big competition.
Genuine competition for Calvin. And, you know, Calvin's already got himself into the England squad. Like you said, there's an argument for him to be starting games at the Euros. If you want to see Calvin transform from someone who's being talked about as starting games, or eventually, I know it's a big shout, but captaining England in a World Cup, or genuinely having a massive role to play in getting England quite far into these competitions and taking Leeds to the next level and actually getting into European competitions or going for an FA Cup, that's what we are going to need. We're all happy with Calvin Phillips as he is now, but imagine what he's like we've said about Meslier, training with Kiko every day. That's not pushing him. And no offense to the other players we've got at the moment, but Calvin knows he's first choice. He's always going to be first choice. If you can get someone in that's genuinely going to push him the way a player like Samari would, be fascinating to see what that would do to Calvin.
No, exactly that, mate. Exactly that. And yeah, I think that's, Tyler Adams is another one, I've seen a lot of, and we've said before. And I think it's something we're going to do. From what Phil Hayes said in The Athletic this morning, from his brilliant article, by the way,
I think he's watching my stuff. He's just nicking it.
Yeah. I've got a feeling. I've got that feeling. To be fair, I know Phil Hay is an avid watcher of our channel. To be fair, I'm only messing now, but Phil Hay's a great guy. We've spoken to Phil a couple of times. What a top guy! What a top fella. To be fair, we've filmed with Phil before. Can't speak highly enough of him. And make sure you check that article out if you are joined on the Athletic, because that was interesting. That and Sumari did come up quite high, so and that's good to see. It's one of our number one choices is probably maybe going to turn up at Ellen Road, so that's all positive for me. But no, totally positive to be fair. But we are going to do some other ones as well. We are going to make this a weekly thing. We have done so far. We've done centre midfield, number 10. In terms of, we identified Rodrigo de Paul. We've done the left back situation. We identified Jose Gaya. We identified Perraud, of course. We did a bit of a breakdown on him. And today, of course, we've done the CDM. We've done goalkeeper. So I'm not sure what we're going to do next. Anyone you want to specifically look at, we're going to look at every single position. Even if it looks like we might not be making signings there, we're going to identify every single position. It'll be interesting to look back at this in a few months' time to see if this does.
Was I wrong about everything?
No, if Victor Orse has been watching this show or not. That's what we need to know. That is what we need to know, to be fair.
I'll be intrigued to see if, not necessarily if we sign who I've been looking at, but if we were to, just someone from left field comes in and I go back through my list and he's just on there somewhere, that'd be enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. And so just Tommy Firth there. We are genuinely being linked with Sumari. He was genuinely mentioned in the Athletic today. He's been mentioned a couple of times. It's ambitious. It's very, very ambitious. It is up there in terms of the most ambitious things we've tried to do. But yes, there is a genuine link there. And it's interesting. It is really, really interesting. Thanks so much for your support, guys. And I guess, Phil, unless there's anything else you want to add, I think that's all bases covered there in terms of goalkeepers and CDMs.
Yeah, no, I'd just say, guys, if you want to give any of my articles a read and you want to see more of this stuff in depth, then feel free to have a look at my Twitter page and go onto my Patreon channel. I've got reports like this coming out for absolutely every position. I'm going to also make sure that before every show, the two positions that we're going to cover, like I have done with today's show, I'll post them on my Patreon. I'll make them free to read so that you can go through the table with us. And if you want to get involved on the comments and give me any suggestions, anyone you want me to take a look at ready for the next show, then I'll always do my best.
No, exactly. And I really enjoy this. I do really enjoy this. It's interesting. Seeing what's going on. What's going on. Who Phil's picked out, and it's because there's a bit of everything, isn't there? You got the eye test when you look at a player. They call it the eye test when you're just watching the games. The stats test. I just think you've got to have a little bit of everything. You've got to have a little bit of everything, to be fair. And I just got to thank you guys for your support. Absolutely unreal today. 10 and a half out of 10 for this stats, to be fair. There you go, Phil. There you go.
I am making 0.5 a thing. It's happening. Fetch is going to happen.
It's happened, to be fair. Thank you so much to our new members. And as we have already mentioned, we are starting a new membership scheme on ALTV. It's totally optional. We will, of course, still be doing all our normal videos for you guys. It's totally optional if you do want to join the membership scheme. I guess we're going to leave it there. To join, you just need to go to our homepage on YouTube, and where you can have the little subscribe option. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and you'll just see to the right of that the option to join as a member as well. There's 3 different tiers. And we will leave it there anyway, guys. Make sure you join us tomorrow night. We've got 2 fantastic guests from Monday Night Football. We've got Ellis from Away Days, and we've got Paddy Miller as well, of course, the legend that is Paddy Miller. We're obviously going to be talking about the game. And just good to have Monday Night Football back. And it's all good. Make sure you smash the like on this video. Follow Phil on Twitter. Check out all this other stuff. It's not just Leeds United stuff. There's some fantastic content there. Become a patron on Phil as well, because there's just fantastic stuff there anyway. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very, very much to Phil. Some fantastic research has gone into this. And let's have some appreciation for Phil, because his work he's put into this is absolutely unreal. Absolutely unreal, mate.
Cheers, mate. Much appreciated. I'll keep going. Don't worry. I've got nothing to do while the kids at school, so keep going.
As Chris Kelly says, you got consistency now. Consistency. In terms of Tyler Roberts, it's an 8 out of 10. This is the expectation now, mate. Every single player we talk about has got to be this level of detail. I'm only messing, mate. I'm only messing. We absolutely love it. We absolutely love it. But I'm going to leave you there anyway, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow night. See you later, guys.
Night, guys.
Would you like to join the All Leeds TV Members Club? We're really excited to announce this new feature on All Leeds TV. We've got 3 different tiers: Sergeant Wilco, Bielsa, the Don. You can join any tier you like. The first tier, Sergeant Wilco, will get you loyalty badges. You can be a loyal member of All Leeds TV for every month, 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, or even 24 months of being a member. You will have a specific badge that shows that you're loyal to the cause. You'll also have emojis available, guys. You've got Bielsa, Bamford, Rafinha, goal, All Leeds TV. More and more to come. If Bamford scores a goal, spam the chat with it. Spam the watch along. We're really excited and we want you to join us on this ride.
Next up, we have the Bielsa level, which is all of our members-only polls, and then we'll give you behind-the-scenes photos and status updates. And if you leave us a comment on any of our videos, you will have priority reply, so we will directly reply to you.
And last but not least, we've got the Don level. What benefits do you get from the Don level? Well, you get all the benefits that you get from the Wilco and Bielsa levels and some additional extras. Virtual video collaborations. Do you ever watch your post-match content and disagree with me, Joe or Tash? Well, this is your chance to put us right in our place and join us on the live player ratings, live post-matches and our phone-in shows also. We're also going to shout out all our members and follow you back on social media, and we're going to host an annual members night, which is coming soon.